All right, so today we're going to talk about inverse communication, self-talk empowerment, right? So before we go into self-talk empowerment within inverse communication, you got to figure out what inverse communication is first, right? Okay. So I came up with this like 2 years ago when I was taking pre-cal at school, hating life, graphing functions, and we had to graph the inverse of things, right? The opposites or the reflections of it, or however you want to call it, right? The inverse of it. And I was like, you know what? When I was trying to graph that stuff and trying to do the equations and solve the problems and stuff, I was having a hard time. So I had to talk myself up. Like, you can do this. It's just like, remember how you were studying? It was like this, you just messed up in this one little spot and then the whole thing will be better. Empower myself that way. And I was like, you know what? That's kind of like, as I was doing the equation, I was kind of like doing the inverse of myself right now. That's a trip. I was like tripping myself out. I was doing the inverse and I was thinking inversely. So that's how I came up with the inverse of communications. And then you can talk about self-talk empowerment. Okay, so now we can go into that. Why is self-talk important in communication? So the biggest takeaway I want to take from this is you communicate more effectively with other people when you're feeling better about yourself. Does that make sense? You communicate more effectively with other people when you're feeling better about yourself. It always reverts back to you. A lot of problems in life come back to you. Like, if you really think about it and take like another step back behind, like you peel another layer back of something you blamed on somebody else, or something bad that happened in your life, or something good that happened in your life. Either way, it doesn't matter, right? Whether it's good or bad, it's a representation of you, of your decisions. Okay, we're getting off topic a little bit, but all right. So self-talk and communication. So when you're feeling better about yourself, you effectively communicate with the outside world. That means your productivity, your networking within yourself, coworkers, family members, friends, family, clients, prospects, doesn't matter. Plus, you're thinking clearly when the inner voice isn't shouting abuse at you. You may actually be a nicer person. Basically, what that means is if you continually talk negative about yourself, then you're shaming yourself. You're shaming yourself, or you're shaming the situation that you're letting out, right? You're either shaming yourself inside or you're shaming the outside. And what I mean by that is like somebody brings up a situation or like something good or whatever, like, oh, I went to McDonald's, like, oh, it was probably shitty food, right? It's like, no, like, don't look at the negative right away. How about you can even take it to the minute, small little micro gratitude level of like, oh, okay, you know what? At least he has money to go to McDonald's. Yeah, start there. So you can always find the good during gratitude. So what is self-talk or inverse communication? We'll go deeper into that right now. Again, if you haven't realized, your self-talk is like your inner dialogue. It's influenced by like your subconscious mind, and it reveals your thoughts, beliefs, your questions, your ideas. Like both of them can be good and bad, positive and negative. But it's encouraging, because it can be de-stressing. Like once you realize like the good and the bad, that you can control a lot more of it by just honing in on yourself a little bit better, that you'll have more wins than losses, or more positive outcomes than negatives in your lives, just by focusing on yourself a little bit more and up-talking yourself, self-talking, empowering yourself. Commercial break taken by Loki. All right, so again, your self-talk is your inner dialogue. It's you talking yourself up. People talk to plants all the time, right? People talk to plants all the time because they want them to grow better. And that's what they say, right? Talk to your plants, they'll grow better, healthier, stronger. Why can't you do that with yourself, right? Do the inverse of the outside. Do whatever you're doing like that to self-talk other people or to empower other people. Do it to yourself too. Take a teaspoon of your own medicine. All right, so how does self-talk affect performance? Ooh. So in the research literature, both instructional and motivational self-talk has been shown to enhance performance. So negative self-talk increases motivation and performance in some circumstances, but it's generally detrimental to sport performance, right? So either way, it's bad, but it has to give you that line, like, hey, some people think differently. Yeah, so there's always something for everybody.